Welcome back to Mock the Mock, where we take a look at someone else's mock draft. And I'm mocking, giving you my views, thoughts, and opinions. And what's crack-a-lackin'? It's your boy Broshmo, just in case you did not know. So go ahead, become a bro and subscribe. Leave this video a thumbs up if you enjoy the content as always. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Let's have that nice, beautiful football discourse. Special thanks to Underdog Fantasy for sponsoring the video. If you like weekly fantasy, player prop bets, and such, then sign up with promo code Broshmo at Underdog Fantasy. They're willing to match your deposit anywhere up to $100. So check that out. Bet responsibly, my friends. Let's get into the Goat House, friend of the channel, the Goat House's mock draft. I already went ahead, watched the video. That way I could actually, know what he's talking about, why he picked and whatnot, and I'm going to give you my perspective on those picks with a trade happening at first overall. Listen, this week of mock drafts, now with the finalized draft order, at least for the first 18 teams, everyone their mom is projecting the Colts trading up to the Bears. It's just one of the most likely trades to happen if there were to be a trade at first overall. I think next week I'm just going to go back to like screw trades. Don't really care. But we'll see. But he has them taking C.J. Stroud. Pause. Excuse me. I got to get some of that nice hot tea in. All right. So C.J. Stroud going here. Listen, there might be teams that are concerned with Bryce Young's size. If that's the case, I think CJ Stroud is probably the safest quarterback prospect in this class. He does have some elite tools here and there. You love how he throws the football, the velocity. I would say he's got a above average NFL arm. It's not elite, but he is capable of really making any pass. Like, dude has thrown some dots, some darts, some nice little bread basket throws to the sideline. I really like how he attacks the sideline exceptionally. And it just makes sense for the Colts to go with a rookie pass caller after basically kicking down the road, the can down the road for so long. Now, the Texans, honestly, if I'm the Texans, I'm kind of cool staying put at 2. You know what? Screw it. Whoever wants to move up to 2 to take a quarterback, I'll be a little sad if it's Bryce Young, but I'm kind of cool with going with CJ Stroud in this instance. Some people may even throw Will Levis up into there. And Will Levis ain't too far down the board, I guess, for me. I get it. Tools. They like them tools. But listen, Texans, you could try to trick yourself into this perception of, hey, you know what? You want to complain about this? See, Gojo right here, my dog, if you don't know, he thinks the Texans should go with a veteran signal caller and just pick the best prospect on the board. And I'm trying to tell him positional value matters. Get in a young quarterback. You could pull, the Colts just try to pull the same thing in the division. Kicking the can down the road, Gojo, with this veteran quarterback nonsense. And what if you get a solid, like a Kirk Cousins, well, that's a bad example, a Derek Carr type? Then you're going to be this mediocre team for who knows how long. And then before you know it, you're going to have to trade draft assets just to move up to get a quality quarterback in, say, the 2025 draft. What do you mean you don't care if I'm right? Golly, Gojo, I swear, buddy. Anywho, I don't like the idea of them going with anything other than a quarterback here. Just go ahead, snag that quarterback. You have so much money to play with in free agency. Use it to really get solid players in those positions where you are lacking. Cardinals, kind of a good mind here. Even if the Texans or the Bears have to sit on their pick, even if one of those squads end up taking Will Anderson or Jalen Carter, you're sitting here at 3 we kind of either get whoever does fall to us. This also could be a nice trade down spot for a team that's desperate for a quarterback that's just they're not able to get one. You know, like we look at the Raiders, we look at the Carolina Panthers. Those could be very sexy trade down spots. But they go Will Anderson here. No qualms about it. This team, I mean, I guess it's nice that they're going to rebuild with their supposedly their franchise, well, financially their franchise quarterback, new coaching staff and whatnot. But man, they got a lot to work on. Jalen Carter makes it to the Chicago Bears here. This is why I like the idea of Chicago moving down to 4. Ideally, you're still probably going to get either Will Anderson or Jalen Carter, so it's fine. You pick up, you get draft capital doing so, and you still get the guy you were probably going to take at 1. So good on here. Jalen Carter dominated the national championship game. Myles Murphy going to the Seattle Seahawks. Myles Murphy is like my next best non-quarterback prospect on the board. I'm a big Myles Murphy guy. He's going to test out great. A little bit unpolished as a pass rusher, but the dude's so strong, just imposes his will on blockers. Just so much to love about his game. Tyree Wilson, interesting one here, going to the Detroit Lions. Probably one of the better run defenders in this class from the edge position. He's got a little size on him at that. James Houston is kind of your passing down guy when it comes to rushing the passer. So, like, Tyree Wilson doesn't need to be a guy that has to, like, if his sack numbers aren't all that great, he doesn't exactly have to be great at that. I know, you would have gone Brian Brazee. You know what? I would have gone Brian Brazee as well. Can you imagine pairing him up next to Lee McNeil? I know, it's sexy. It's sexy. Gojo, you want me to let you out? I'll let you out, bud. All right, we got Gojo and his heckling butt out of here. But, I mean, I guess Tyree Wilson, he's going to be a guy that's very popular with guys that like tools, because he's got a ton of tools. And I get that. So, again, me preferably Brian Brazee, but I know people aren't that high on him either. Or at least it's kind of a 50-50 split in terms of you either really like him or you really don't. Peter Skoronski going to the Las Vegas Raiders. So, yeah, I mean, I would prefer to try to, if I'm going to get offensive line, I'd prefer to probably get a tackle type. So, I mean, you could still, you still could give Peter Skoronski a whirl at, like, a shot at the right tackle spot. If it doesn't work out, then you can move him to one of the guard spots. So, because Dylan Parham, he's kind of flexible in that regard. I think he actually played both guard spots and center this year for the Raiders. So a little flexibility there. So I understand it a bit. I do think right now Skoronski's probably the most pro-ready offensive lineman of the bunch. It's kind of why I have him over like a Paris Johnson, but I'd rather take Johnson here if I'm specifically looking for a tackle. We could talk about the Raiders trying to take one of the top corners off the board here because they do need help at corner. So another team that could go a variety of ways, even Brian Brazee, I think would be on the board here. This is probably the most interesting one. Will Levis to the Atlanta Falcons. I feel like you have at least seen enough from Desmond Ridder to be like, you know what? We'll bring in a veteran quarterback and we'll let them battle it out in camp, and let's see what Desmond Ridder can do. I feel like he's shown enough for me not to want to take the third quarterback on the board here. That's just my opinion. So, like, I get the idea the Falcons going Will Levis. Like, Desmond Ridder wasn't a guy they invested heavily in. They don't have a fifth-year option with him. Like, I understand all those talking points, but, like, I feel like this is just well, I guess ideally it would have been a good spot to get a pass rusher if Tyree Wilson didn't go. But I mean, that means Brian Brazee's here. You could pick him up. Dude, I'm not opposed to going Quentin Johnston here. Can you imagine that? Quentin Johnston, Drake London, Kyle Pitts. It's a freaky set of pass catchers. It really is. So, like, I don't know. I'm in the boat of give Desmond Ridder a year. Like, let's see what he can do. That's my opinion on him. Here are the specifics of the trade, if you are concerned or care about it. So they end up getting a first and second rounder in 2024. They get they get this year's first, second, and third rounder. Ooh, that's a lot. They are trading up to one, but still, that's a lot to move up 3 spots. So there's the trade there. Again, not my mock draft. So many people when I do mock, they will come at me like, this is my mock draft. It's like, it's not. Calm down. Oh my gosh, where are we? Let's get to this next set of picks. I'm eager. I'm ready. Here we go. All right, Quentin Johnston, as we'll see soon here, is going to the Panthers. I like it. I think it's fairly solid. If you can't get one of the top quarterbacks, if you don't want to take that lotto ticket, that is Anthony Richardson. I saw someone trying to talk about how Anthony Richardson is probably a better get than Will Levis, and it's like, Will Levis is put together as a passer. Like, he's coming from an offense that's very translatable to the NFL. Anthony Richardson is not. He is not developed as a passer, at least to be a passer at the NFL level yet. So it's like, no, yeah, Richardson's I will say Richardson's got the much higher upside than Levis. It's just like the learning curve is a lot different. It's a lot more steeper for Anthony Richardson. But I mean, if you're the Panthers here, you're sitting here at 9. It's like, man, really would have loved if we could have got a quarterback. You know what? Let's take a shot on Anthony Richardson. If they decide not to, I think Quentin Johnson is a great pick, pairing him up with DJ Moore. You got Terrace Marshall, a guy that played in the slot in college. Even DJ Moore, who could go and kick in the slot occasionally. So I think that's pretty nice. Brian Brazee going to the Eagles here. I think this is a nice spot for Brian Brazee. As they have guys like Fletcher Cox they can move on from his contract. Javon Hargrave is a free agent. So, like, getting someone to pair up with Jordan Davis there, I think would be super nice. Paris Johnson going to the Titans just makes a ton of sense. Their left tackle, left guard spot, it's poop, it's dog water. Derrick Henry next year he is your offense. So you got to make sure the offensive line is something that you can funnel the run game through. And right now, the left side of your offensive line is pee poo poo. So Paris Johnson being my tackle 2 in this class, I think is solid. Jackson Smith and Najigba, they went with Bryce Young here too. Like, Jackson Smith and Najigba's interest, I think I'd rather take Jordan Addison. If I'm being honest, if I want to go receiver here, I'd rather go with Addison. I'm trying to think of other spots I might be willing to go. I think that'd be it. Like, we could talk about maybe tackle, but Michael Mayer, ooh. But at that point, I'm just taking Jordan Addison, maybe. Or maybe not. I don't know. But Jackson Smith and Jigba, I feel like he's going to fill a similar role to John Mechie, who hopefully returns next season. There's a lot of people that really love Jackson Smith and Jigba. I think, depending on how he tests out, I don't think he's going to test out great. And a guy that's worked out of the slot 94% of the time throughout his whole career, I just don't believe that guy will probably win on the outside at the NFL level, especially if you're not a high-end athlete. Like, and there's no problem with that, man. If you're a high-end slot, there's a role for that in the NFL. There's coaches that make that a good focal point to their offense in the NFL. There's nothing wrong with that. My question, I guess John Mechie technically could play outside as well, but I kind of thought he would be a slot guy. That was my projection on him last year. So, getting more receiving weapons is never a bad thing, though. Broderick Jones going to the New York Giants. I love the idea of the Jets. Sorry, you're both from New York. The Jets. So, I like the idea of the Jets going with tackle because you got Elijah Vera Tucker who could go play out at tackle. You could have Broderick Jones, Kai Becton battle out for the other tackle spot. Maybe you feel really good about Max Mitchell, so you move Elijah Vera Tucker back into the guard spot there with Lincoln Tomlinson. So, there's a lot of routes you can go. Joe Douglas loves the trenches. So I think this would be a solid pick. Anton Harrison. I'm glad to see this guy starting to get top 20 love. I don't know if he'll be in my top 20 though. He'll be close though. But the Patriots do need another tackle. Trent Brown. Ooh, he's so often hurt. How many fully healthy seasons has he had? Maybe one. Because I think that's where he got a big contract off of. Where he had that one healthy season. And then Isaiah Wynn's going to be a free agent. So, yeah, you're probably looking at needing tackle help. You got the Packers going Michael Mayer. This one is so easy to chalk in because Robert Tunyon's a free agent. And it would be a nice security blanket for the Packers. Next, we got the Washington Commanders on the clock getting Brian Branch. And I actually really like this move. Let's talk more about Brian Branch being a top 20 prospect. So he actually would come in and fill the Bobby McCain role and actually play. He'll play a little bit traditional safety role, but probably a majority of the time he's going to be playing in the slot. And slot's a starting position in the NFL. Brian Branch, he played that star role at Alabama where he's just basically playing in the slot. Over 560, I believe, of his snaps came out of the slot. But he's the best tackler in this class. True nose for the football, has playmaking, shown good ball skills. Like, this would be, if you, granted, there hasn't been a corner come off the board yet, has there? Huh, that's actually interesting. It might change my perspective. Like, I would say if there's two corners already off the board here, I would be thinking about Brian Branch. That's an interesting one. I don't know. I mean, Brian Branch is versatile. Maybe you kick him outside sometimes. I don't know. I still like it. It's still a win for me. But I think I might lean corner. All right. On to the next set of picks here with the Pittsburgh Steelers. When we get this sucker up, they're going with Christian Gonzalez, Cam Sutton, going to free agency. Even if you bring him back, you need more cornerback help. You need more talent. It's nice to have competition at the position. Christian Gonzalez, very good year at Oregon there. Very good athlete. Made Bruce Feldman's freaks list. Devon Witherspoon. Can I get a woo woo? Woo woo. Finally seeing some love. And this is why I love the idea of the Detroit Lions going with a Brian Brazee or even a Tyree Wilson at the beginning of the draft, because it looks, honestly, there's gonna be corner talent that falls. In this case, you only one corner's off the board, so you really get to take your pick. So Devon Witherspoon, actually, I think really fits. I assume they're gonna hold on to Aaron Glenn, but really fits the scheme. Pairing him up with Jeffrey Okudah would be beautiful. Cyrus Torrance going to the Bucks. I think with enough cornerback talent still on the board, I might be going corner here just because Jameel Dean and Sean Murphy-Bunting are both free agents. Don't know if they'll be able to pay either of those guys. So I would consider corner, but I understand that the left guard position was kind of a big letdown this year. Luke Kadecki didn't really look all that great. Osiris Torrance, easily the top interior prospect in this class, worthy of a first-round pick. Trenton Simpson going to the Seahawks. Here, with Jordan Brooks, especially the more recent injury to him, like linebacker, the need to fill linebacker is a bit more vital now because Jordan Brooks, I imagine, is not going to be ready by the beginning of the season. So I do like the idea of maybe going Trent Simpson here, a guy who's really good out in space, brings a good pass rush and blitz and upside, just an uber athlete. Keely Ringo going to the Jaguars. I find this one interesting because Darius Williams has played really good on the outside for the Jags. You got Tyson Campbell there, but cornerback talent, cornerback competition is never a bad thing. Keely Ringo, and his size, man, we saw it work with Tyreek Woolen this season. and Ringo is gonna be a more sought out prospect. The Dolphins forfeited their pick. Fins up, baby, fins up. Drew Sanders going to the Giants here. I don't think Jordan Addison's off the board yet, right? Yeah, no, Jordan Addison's still on the board. Listen, Drew Sanders, a lot of people are going to love him. He's going to test out extremely well. They're going to love his pass rush upside. Like, especially Brian Dable is probably going to be like, oh my gosh, is this Matt Milano? Oh, he's probably going to love that. But receiver is just better in terms of positional value. So I would have gone with that. And Addison's higher on my board. Bijan Robinson going to the Baltimore Ravens. Don't necessarily hate it. A very run-first team. Would love a running back like Bijan Robinson. Bijan's one of the toughest guys to predict where he'll go in this class. And everyone's trying out their different things, trying to fit them here and there. So it's like, it kind of is what it is. I understand it. I get it. Like, you get to 24, and it's like, there's no way he could fall any further. You really get to there, and it's like, there ain't no way. All right, with the last set of picks here, we got the Los Angeles Superchargers on the clock, going with Isaiah Foskey. So they get a guy with a very high floor, good length, plays with a lot of juice. Solid run defender out there at edge. I know they haven't been healthy out at edge, but yeah, I feel like, I'd rather maybe an Addison here. I'd rather maybe even corner here. Oh, who was it over? Michael Davis? He's been all right on the other side. J.C. Jackson's been hurt, and to be fair, didn't play all that well when he was healthy. So, yeah, like corner, I'd be down with getting corner. We could try to talk ourselves into Siaki Ika or Mozzie Smith. Even Darnell Wright, actually. Can you imagine that? Have him, Jamari Sawyer, kind of battle for the left tackle spot, and then just move whoever loses to guard. That'd be kind of nice. So I just think there's better picks. Like Foskey, he's a much safer prospect, but like, I don't know, you kind of want to look for that upside in round one. Jordan Addison going to the Cowboys. Jordan Addison should have went a few picks earlier. But I get it. It looks like the Cowboys, they want to find that field stretcher. Michael Gallup really hasn't exactly been that since returning from injury. They brought in T.Y. Hilton. And he's not a long-term option. So Jordan Addison could be that. Just with the amount of corners still left on the board here, I would probably go with that because they need quarterback help. Darnell Wright is the correct pick for the Bengals. They got a ton of questions at tackle. Jonah Williams, he could really play either tackle spot. You can even kick him into guard, but he's coming into a contract year. Leo Collins has a bit of a disappointment, and he's hurt. Probably won't start the season next year because of injury. So might not even be, like, he wasn't the same guy coming back from injury this year. Can't imagine he'll be the same guy coming back next year. So regardless, I feel like one of those tackle spots are going to need to be taken care of. Darnell Wright, I don't believe allowed a sack at all this season. Joey Porter Jr. is just being available here at 28 is just beautiful. So Vikings, they need help in the cornerback room. Patrick Peterson kind of had a nice little resurgence to his career this season, but he does leave via free agency, so grabbing Joey Porter would be super nice. Jahmyr Gibbs going to the Broncos. There's better things you could do with this pick, I imagine. Like, I get it, Gibbs. You're pairing him up with Javonte Williams, who probably won't be back till next November. So, like, that's a sexy pairing. Not if you're a fantasy. Well, I guess in fantasy, if Williams isn't going to be back until November, then you're probably not going to draft him highly anyway. Regardless, I'd rather go with a better positional value. You could talk about corner, but I mean, Damari Mathis was pretty solid. You're still going to have, I think, Ronald Darby. think he's on a 3-year deal, so I think he's only in year 2 of his 3-year deal. I'd be open to going receiver. I just think there's other areas that with more positional value. Josh Downs going to the Bills feels like a luxury pick. And kind of is. But, I mean, like thinking here, do you try to reach on one of the other interior prospects like Andrew Voorhees or John Michael Schmitz? Maybe not. You get maybe just getting more weapons there with the Bills. It's like, do you really need them? Your offensive line's kind of the crux, the Achilles heel. Antonio Johnson's a nice lazy pick here because you just know they need at least safety help for the future. Speaking of which, actually, next safety off the board is Christopher Smith going to the Kansas City Chiefs. And I get it because role-wise, you have Juan Thornhill potentially leaving via free agency. The guys you have there, Justin Reed, I mean, I guess could fill that role if you want him to. Brian Cook really is more of a box guy. So, like, Christopher Smith does would fit the role that Juan Thornhill does. I just feel like this is really early for him. And then the Eagles, they snagged a Brian Bernazzi, and now they get a corner, Cam Smith, very versatile corner that can play a bevy of different schemes and different coverages. We saw the Eagles kind of play with that earlier in the year with man coverage. So getting Cam Smith, a nice physical corner too, through the route at the catch point. It's got good ball skills. I like this pickup. I think that'd be an ideal first round for the Eagles, but let me know what you think in the comment section below. That's it for the video. Go ahead, do the YouTube thing as always. Until next time, you be easy, my friends. Later.